Hi there, I'm John C. Dvorak, and welcome to Cranky Geeks. This is our new idea. We're going to put together a team every week, and we're going to talk about tech issues, and we're going to try to be as cranky about it as possible, and if that polka music doesn't do it for you, nothing will. This week, we've got Sebastian Rupley, West Coast editor of PC Magazine. He's worked at several other high-tech publications, and he's won multiple journalism awards, and is the author of the book Portable Computing. Next, we've got Loyd Case, editor of ExtremeTech.com, and he's the senior editor of ExtremeTech, came to computing by the way of physical chemistry. I was a chemist, by the way, and has worked as an analytical chemist. You know, I was too. A programmer, a systems engineer, and even dabbled 3D modeling and web design. Loyd's written extensively about PC technology for a variety of publications, including PC Magazine, Computer Gaming World, and too many to mention. He's also written a couple of books on building high-end gaming PCs. And finally, we've got John Davison, editorial director of the 1UP Network. He directs all game group editorial products, including 1UP.com, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Computer Gaming World, official U.S. PlayStation Magazine. I don't know, see how it's time to come to this thing. Apparently, he also works with Che Guevara, based on that hat he's got, and he has more than 14 years of experience in the gaming industry in the U.S. and Europe. Before moving to the U.S., he was a publisher of the top UK PC gaming magazine, PC Zone. And by the way, he's got a British accent, so that makes him smarter than the rest of us. So we're going to start off with the topic about MySpace. I wrote a column about that recently, discussing how, well, you know, MySpace is this weird phenomenon whereby, in fact, I don't even know when it began, but it's essentially an extension of the old community systems that are out there, where people essentially get free web space. They put together sort of a web blog. And I think probably, I call it the second generation of LiveJournal. Does anybody have on the panel here have a Live or MySpace account?
No, I have a kid who has a MySpace account, though, and it's really kids, young people, who are at the center of the controversy surrounding MySpace. They put all their personal information out there. They post their photos, and they recklessly just expose themselves to the world, and that's become an issue because there have been some predators who have done some really bad things.
There's 50 million MySpace accounts, and how many predators do you think have taken advantage of these kids?
Just this week in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, there were 2 children molested. In both cases, the guys found them on MySpace, saw their pictures, saw their home addresses and all that. So 2 out of 50 million isn't that many, but it shows that there is some subset of people out there on MySpace who are predators.
It's not really 2 out of 50. There's 50 million MySpace accounts, but how many of them are actually active? I mean, a lot of people just join MySpace
because they want to. How many do you think are active?
It's very popular.
It's very popular, but you have to have an account if you want to see anything. Like if someone sends you a MySpace page and you want to see their photos,
right,
you want to hear their music, you have to sign in.
Right.
So I mean that's kind of the myth about MySpace is there's 1 million a day or whatever it was they were saying a while ago, and well, yeah, because it's become just a phenomenon for just like seeing the stuff that's on there. The music culture on there was huge for a while, and it still is, but it's dying down a little bit. But you have to join. I have an account. I never use it. It doesn't have anything on it. I just signed in because someone sent me.
What's your name on it? I'm sure
I don't even remember. I think I tend to use the same. I mean, blogs in general are really popular. I mean, a lot of what we do in the gaming space is using blogs to push things really aggressively because it helps. It's a way of expressing things, and it's a bit more. I don't know. I mean, it is very expressive, and particularly in an enthusiast area like gaming, it is a good place for the kids to come on and say, okay, you know, and get into some real depth on things.
I have a 15-year-old daughter with a MySpace account, and you know, some of it has to do with also how smart the kids are about it too. She said, you know, Dad, if somebody sent me a message saying that they wanted to meet me and I didn't know them, I would just say no.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it's a matter of.
But then there are a lot of kids who just aren't going to be that smart. You know, they're going to do the wrong thing, and they are doing the wrong thing. The other issue with MySpace is there's a lot of information out there that kids share that points to sociological changes. Like kids view privacy much differently now than they did 20 years ago. They publish their crushes, their high school crushes out there. Think of that. Would you ever have published your crush in high school?
Not if I didn't want to get beat up by somebody's boyfriend. I mean,
exactly.
They
do things like that. They publish much more private.
Well, nowadays it would be a problem. I have an account. I've checked out MySpace. I find the thing impossible to deal with because of all the racket that goes on with that thing. I mean, everybody's page has got some music playing, and then if you happen and you can't, and it opens up new windows every time you click on anything, and then more music starts playing, and pretty soon you got 6 or 7 songs going on, and you can't figure out how to turn them off because they're just. I mean, it's maybe I'm getting old.
It's a young person's environment.
I don't think it's an environment anybody really takes too seriously. That's why I don't.
That's right.
I'm not that concerned about this predator thing. I think these kids are mostly goofballs.
Well, there are other problems that arise. What about that incident you wrote about in your column in Berkeley?
Yeah, what happened in Berkeley was
the mega party.
Yeah, somebody had a party, and then in the Berkeley Hills, this is a classic, but this has nothing to do with MySpace. This has to do with teen stupidity. What happened was a girl's parents went on vacation and they left her home, and so she said, "Well, I'm home alone. Let's have a party." So she called up a couple of her friends, who called up a couple of their friends, and they all got on the SMS thing, which is another. That to me is a bigger teen phenomenon than MySpace, which is because I don't know any adults that use messaging on their phones. I don't know. Maybe you guys do. I don't. But anyway, so they started, kind of viral marketing took over, and like 3 or 4 high schools converged on this house, and some kid got stabbed to death.
Yeah, and there were other injuries. There were a lot of fights there. It was just a way bigger party than she intended to have.
Do you remember flash mobs a few years ago, which was the same kind of thing? And it's just they have the communication is there now. There's you can, and it was message boards before MySpace. It was people on forums.
Didn't raves start off that way? It was like somebody would find the place and then they would all shoot over it.
It's like your Las Vegas parties, right? If you can find it.
If you can find it, yeah. But we didn't have SMS. That would have been a disaster, actually. But in fact, I gave up on those parties because they were getting a little out of control.
But that's just. I mean, like the parents leaving. In some ways, it's an amplification of what used to happen, right? The MySpace and the SMS phenomenon simply amplifies what used to happen anyway. In the past, it'd just be word of mouth, but now word of mouth has become electronic and it's become web-based, and it's just the same kind of thing in a lot of ways.
Can anything, does anybody know the history of this MySpace phenomenon? Because it kind of crept up on me.
Well, there are a bunch of them that are super popular with the teens. Zhanga is another one. And then there are some people on LiveJournal.
Isn't Zhanga the one that's mostly photos?
Mostly photos, but you can blog out there.
And there's Facebook, which is the college one.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, they're big. They use these blogs to slander each other. They do all kinds of bizarre things.
Yeah, does anybody, I don't want to completely change the subject, but this is a column idea. Does anybody think that there's an opportunity here for some decent lawsuits? I mean, there are libel and slander laws in this country.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
And there's I don't think it's ever been developed with this internet stuff.
With all the media coverage out there in the mainstream media of MySpace, I haven't seen them say a single word about what their policy is on this. I mean, you would think they would at least have somebody out there like the CEO saying, we've heard about these incidents and this is what we have to say about it.
Well, MySpace it was a classic sort of Silicon Valley internet-style startup that happened and then was eventually bought by Rupert Murdoch's organization. Now, I think they bought this without realizing some of those implications, and they're trying to wrestle with them. The whole issue of the privacy and the monitoring of predators and stuff like that. They now have a policy that they didn't have before, and I think they're going to have to. Now that sort of a major corporation owns it, they're going to have to start really thinking about this.
But they have not issued a policy, right? There's no official word that they've posted on.
No,
the
what
site.
they've done is they said we're going to monitor. We're hiring monitors to take.
So how long do you think this is like? To me, I just see deep pockets. How long do you think it's going to be before somebody gets killed? Well, actually, this could develop into a suit. The thing in Berkeley, somebody gets killed as a direct result of a MySpace ad lib party of some sort, and then they go after the news corporation. Does anybody see that happening in the near future? You don't think so?
I don't know. It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
I think it's a great idea. Personally.
It's a great idea, but it's like.
Well, I mean, if I had somebody who was killed because of this thing, I'd be pretty skeptical.
Yeah, I suspect it would happen. You know, some lawyer will no doubt take a case like that. Whether it'll actually get anywhere is a different question.
Does anybody see anything sneaking up on MySpace that's new?
Not really. The music thing was the thing for a while. There's some video. I mean, video is with YouTube suddenly getting so big. And
well, by the way, that's another one. YouTube showed up out of the blue.
Isn't it incredible?
Yeah.
And the stuff on it is garbage, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. But I was always think, there's Putfile. There's a bunch of these places where these things are stored in Google videos, which seems to be languishing. But
YouTube's feeding MySpace in a big way as well, because they give you the little Flash app that you can post on your MySpace page.
Where did YouTube come from? Does anybody follow this one? I'm going to have to research it, I guess.
I think there was basically a lot of motion generated with sites like iFilm and all that, and then all these little peripheral video sites shot up where you could do...
It's kind of the Flickr of video.
Yeah,
Does anybody make
video.
money? I mean, this is a lot of bandwidth being squandered on these videos.
Well, what's amazing is how fast a nobody can become a somebody out there. Like, did you see the video of the 2 Chinese boys in their dorm room singing the Backstreet Boys song?
That
was 6 million viewers or something.
Really?
All they were doing was lip
like that
syncing
every
to the
day with
Backstreet
YouTube,
Boys.
though.
Brother. There's a lot of crap, the way I see it, there's a lot of crap on these websites. We're going to be right back after this break, and we'll talk a little bit about the Mac Mini, the new one.
Get the most out of Windows and the web with premium downloads from PCMag.com. An annual subscription to the utility library gets you the tools that will improve Windows performance and protect your PC. With programs like Cookie Cop, Dupless, and Startup Cop Pro, you can get rid of pop-ups, clean up your hard drive, and stop unwanted programs from launching, keeping your system safe and secure. Each utility is custom written for and available only from PCMag.com. Plus, with an annual subscription of $19.97, you'll get a great new file every month.
Want to know what's new now? Then join Jim Louderback and Patrick Norton as they tackle the latest technology news. They'll keep you informed with their weekly What's New Now podcast. Just go to what'snewnow.com and subscribe, or subscribe through iTunes.
Want more Extreme Tech? Well, now you can join the crew of expert analysts for a weekly podcast. They'll give you the lowdown on the latest technology news, product reviews, and let you know what's coming up. Just go to ExtremeTech.com to subscribe.
Well, if anybody was around last week, you know that Apple made a big deal about some new announcements, but they kept it secret so it would get everybody to get the buzz going. I don't know how often they're going to be able to pull this off where they get a buzz going and then there's a buzzkill, which is the announcement itself. And that's essentially what happened in this situation. For all practical purposes, all that was announced were a couple of core solos. I have to read that off here because it's impossible to remember this.
One is a core solo, the other is a core duo.
Core duo, which is very difficult to say, and they're expensive, $599 and $799. What do you make of this? Was this?
I was down there. I was down there for that. And
you went?
You're absolutely right. They sent this thing out, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to get to see U2 or Kanye West, like I did at the other 2 Apple events that I went to." And it turned out Jobs came out, and he immediately said, "These are just some medium-term announcements, you know." But the Mac Minis actually are kind of
But
significant.
weren't they supposed to be fun?
Yeah,
What's
they're
fun about these?
They have a little IR thing on the front, so you can control them with a remote control. And
Wow.
all the iLife stuff on there.
Did they already
and they're
do
tiny.
that announcement?
They're tiny. They don't take up a lot of space, but still, it's
That's fun.
We already had the Mac Mini.
Right. Well, and on top of that, they priced it more. The graphics quality has gone down because they're using Intel integrated graphics instead of the ATI discrete graphics they had in the old ones.
Right.
So, and then they want this to be a living room PC. Now, it's got an 80 gigabyte hard drive, I believe, the entry level.
Yeah,
model.
I think so.
And you know, people are going to fill that up in a hurry, so they're going to add USB drives. All of a sudden, your living room, you have this clutter of cables and other boxes and stuff. It's not.
But where's all the other stuff that everyone was talking about? Where's the Mac TiVo killer? And I mean,
Yeah.
it's in it. It's just a Mac Mini with a different processor.
It also costs more.
And
A
it
lot of
costs
people were disappointed by the fact that the price went up because the Mac Mini concept seems to me was always a $499,
Right.
you know, sub $500 computer that people could have as kind of a backup or a kitchen computer or something like that.
I was surprised they made a whole event out of it. They said they had new leather cases for the iPods too. Wow, let's all
Oh, and
drive
don't
down to
forget- don't
Cupertino
forget
from
the
San
hi-fi.
Francisco so we can see the leather case.
What a misnamed product. I mean, it's a boom. Apple is shipping a boombox. I mean,
For $50 more than the other ones that are out there.
Well, I don't know. There was supposed to be also. Is there some new airports developments? Because I didn't see anything in that regard.
I don't think there was anything announced on that. The Mac Minis do support Airport Extreme, and they have Bluetooth. They have They have DV out. A lot of good features, and 4 USB ports instead of 2 like the old ones.
Does anybody have a prediction on when we expect to see 100% Intel from Apple?
They said in less than 60 days, 50% of their product line is Intel based. So that pretty much shows. I think by the end of the year for sure.
Well, that brings up my column that I wrote a couple weeks ago, which is the possibility that Apple would go to the Windows operating system some point in the future. I've gotten a lot of letters on that I mean, I only wrote it as an exercise, by the way. But I got a lot of letters that went on about, and some people supporting the idea, finding old Steve Jobs quotes about how he'd bail out of this or he'd do this or he'd do that. And then other people showed me some slides from 1997 which showed that Steve Jobs emphasized the fact that the Mac OS is the company. Yeah. So I don't know. So it's interesting to watch this pile up. There's evidence for and evidence against, even though the Mac users see no evidence against or no evidence for it. But a lot of people are seeing evidence that there will be a switch.
Well, the flip side of the coin is, if you look at it, Apple is moving to Intel, which gives them sort of a toehold in the Intel market, which then allows them in the future, if they wanted to bring Mac OS to a wider variety of Intel platforms if they wanted to do that. It's a way of almost they could get out of the hardware business in the long run.
You know, the company has had the opportunity to become a software company over and over, and they seem reluctant. This is the thing that I keep seeing, and I've seen this since the beginning. They seem very reluctant to become a software company. They've been, people have pushed them in that direction. The only time they almost became one was when Jobs was out. They really like making hardware, and I think the iPod's a good example of it. They really they like making tangible products, and they leave the software. I mean, they do the software because it helps sell the hardware. I don't think there's any other reason for it. And I think if they can get away from that, I don't see any reason they wouldn't do it. And also, one of the things you keep hearing from the Mac users, well, I'm abandoning the company if they do this because they'll suck. What's a Mac user? What choice do these people have if Apple goes and becomes a Windows-based platform? What are they going to do?
They're not going to be Linux users, that's for sure.
No, they're not going to be Linux, which is harder than anything.
When they first announced the move to Intel, everybody said it's going to be no time before you see dual boot systems, where you can have both operating systems in one box. And I think that's where we're headed, where they're just going to support both of them. They're not going to go gung ho for Windows.
I've been a Mac whore for years, and it came about because I got so frustrated with Windows for the things I wanted to do at home. And like with my family, that just the Mac just worked, and that was what won me over. So it's not about anything about the box. It's just that I stuck my video camera in it, and the Mac said, "Okay, you stuck a video camera in. Do you want to pull that up?"
I stick any camera I've got into my Windows machine, and it says, "Hey, look what you got here."
Yeah, Windows recognizes hardware.
I don't have a problem with that.
That used to be a gap, but I think that gap is.
But I think a lot of people that were won over was when it was the Mac just sort of to them. They didn't want to think about it. The computer was. They wanted it to be an appliance, and they wanted it to be friendly. But I think that definitely it's not as extreme as it used to be. Yeah. But some people just they don't want to think about it.
I think actually the Mac has a lot of compelling aspects to it. I don't think there's any question about that. About the dual boot thing is kind of interesting, though, is because it turns out there's a lot of code being written right now that is designed to get that dual core to run two things at the same, to run parallel stuff. In other words, you could literally have both operating systems running on a dual-core chip, one on each half.
Intel's pushing virtualization in a big way, which is what you're talking about, I think. So the capability of running one OS inside of another, and people.
Well, these are thinking of this code, which comes out of SGI. A lot of it comes out of SGI. Is parallel code. It's not really virtualization. It's not like virtualizing within one of the cores of the chip. This is actually running operating system on core A and operating system on core B.
I think sort of way that Intel and AMD are both pushing virtualization, I think that's sort of the, if you want to call it a Trojan horse in the correct sense of the term rather than the viral sense, that's I think where things might happen. Because Apple could either ease themselves into or out of the software business by just starting to do more things with virtualized systems.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? We're going to take another break, and we're going to be right back with 802.11n and where it's headed.
Want more ExtremeTech? Well, now you can join the crew of expert analysts for a weekly podcast. They'll give you the lowdown on the latest technology news, product reviews, and let you know what's coming up. Just go to ExtremeTech.com to subscribe.
Want to know what's new now? Then join Jim Louderback and Patrick Norton as they tackle the latest technology news. They'll keep you informed with their weekly What's New Now podcast. Just go to what'snewnow.com and subscribe, or subscribe through iTunes.
Get the most out of Windows and the web with premium downloads from PCMag.com. An annual subscription to the utility library gets you the tools that will improve Windows performance and protect your PC. With programs like Cookie Cop, Dupless, and Startup Cop Pro, you can get rid of pop-ups, clean up your hard drive, and stop unwanted programs from launching, keeping your system safe and secure. Each Each utility is custom written for and available only from PCMag.com. Plus, with an annual subscription of $19.97, you'll get a great new file every month.
Hey, we're back, and we're going to talk about 802.11n, which is something that interests everybody. And the big question out there, because now it's kind of set as a standard, but we're not going to see true, full, the real kind of the standards committee approved 802.11n for a while. So we're looking at these pre-N products. Sebastian, you have got some thoughts on 802.11n. Do you have I'm using a Belkin 802.11 pre-N router, and it's great.
Yeah, and we have tested that thing at PC Magazine, and everybody said it's great too. But everybody I talk to in the HD community out there says that it's one thing to stream HD, which is the killer app with this. People want this kind of wireless technology so they can stream HD around their houses and all of that. They say what you get is a bad picture. It's one thing to stream it, it's another thing to actually look at the picture you're getting, which is patchy, which is jerky.
I don't see why with this kind of bandwidth how that can be true.
They say people won't watch it. I don't know. I'm not the pundit
I think the
here.
theoretical bandwidth is there. It kind of depends on what you're doing because N doesn't have quality of service built into it, unfortunately. So if you're just streaming one HD stream, you're going to get great. You can do the full HD bandwidth. No, it won't even use only a minor part of the N bandwidth.
What's the megabits you need, right? It's about 10 to 12.
About 20 maximum.
So 20 max, but I've heard that you can get it down to 10 and you can get
with some compression.
Yeah.
And you get a watchable picture that doesn't jerk, doesn't have patches.
That's right. Now, if you start doing stuff on it, like if you have a printer on the wireless network and you're doing wireless stuff on your PC and it starts sort of interfering with the packets, then you can start seeing some jerkiness potentially.
I see.
But now, is there any way of you say there's no QoS on 802.11n? Is there any way of like putting code at both ends of the system that would actually account for this? In other words, you can have prioritizing, so you could prioritize the video streams.
You can you can do stuff like that, but even then, what's happening between? What if you're interfering between those two? There's still no way to. If the receiving system is having to do some error checking and stuff like that, that may cause hiccups.
Well, but what are we? What bandwidth? The upshot of 802.11n, as I understand it, is that eventually, when it finally does really appear officially, which will be like 2007, that's why I'm recommending getting the pre-N stuff now. It's going to be like, it may be as high as 600 megabits per second. I mean, geez, if you can't get some streaming.
In an average household, it's probably not going to be an issue. They'll probably be able to see it just fine. Now, what happens if you want to start streaming multiple streams to multiple places in your house, different ones? And then you could have interesting issues with
right, if you had HD TVs in separate rooms and you wanted to stream to those.
With 600 megabits to play with, it seems to me that you get plenty of head. I mean, a Windows machine, typically to this day, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Loyd, chokes off the. You can barely get 450 megabits per second out of the box, and they've never fixed that, right?
Nope. They claim they fixed it in Vista, but we'll have to see.
So if these pre-N products are so fast and so good, why aren't businesses adopting them now? I know a lot of times they want to wait for the ratified standard, but if you look at 802.11g, lots of businesses bought that.
I think people are buying these things like hotcakes. I mean, the problem right now is there's confusion. I think there's the pre-N, that is the true MIMO, which is basically the technology behind N, which is essentially uses 3 radios or more with these technologies, but I guess you could use more, that just send the same signal out over the same frequency and somehow pulls it out. There's some other technologies that call themselves MIMO, and they're not the same. And so if you start looking at the selection of boxes to buy, it's a little confusing because the only ones I know of offhand that are out there is the SRX from Linksys and the pre-N from Belkin, and then I guess Buffalo's got one. I don't think they're as readily available as you think.
And Linksys is just about ready to announce a pre-N product as well. One of the other things that's happening, of course, is that the G products are dropping in price dramatically.
Rapidly, yeah.
So people will go and say, I can buy a pre-N. Oh, look, I can buy this G product for $20, and they'll.
How much should somebody pay for a good quality router, a wireless router? I mean, it seems to me that a lot of these cheap ones really aren't that good.
Well, I'm talking about some of the good stuff's getting down to under $50 now.
Oh, is it?
Linksys and D-Link and some of those guys.
Okay. Well, we're going to take one more break, and we're going to come back talking about the light blue optics Cambridge, Massachusetts mini projector, which is kind of the talk of the town, right after this.
I haven't.
Snake, wait.
Huh?
There's an easier way to see the newest previews, footage, and game info.
How?
OneUp.com. Download their new podcast to get the latest in videos, reviews, cheat codes, and developer exclusives. I'm uploading it to your codec now. It's the ultimate in gaming weaponry.
Delicious.
Breathe.
Can't get enough of DL.TV? Then download our podcast. Just go to DL.TV and click on the audio link.
Turning them loose.
You'll be able to listen to Patrick, Robert, and the rest of the gang over and over and over again.
Remember to keep the ear canal clean and don't share if you don't want to risk spreading disease.
All right, so if anybody heard the rumors before the Apple announcement, that one of the rumors was that they're going to bring out it was either an iPod or a phone or something that has this new projector built into it. Of course, we never saw this. And I'm thinking, yeah, I want an iPod with a projector in it. And there's literally a video projector, there's a picture of it, which is a little bigger than a coin and uses some, I don't know what kind of technology it is. I have not seen this thing. I've only seen pictures myself. And I suppose it would be cool for little mini presentations, a little on a desktop.
Well, actually,
it's just a gimmick that because it's only going to make an image. I can't imagine it making a picture.
My kid has a book. It's a Finding Nemo book that has a little thing that you stick these cartridges in. It's like ViewMaster you project on the wall, and it's rubbish. And it's and it's not rubbish because of the quality. It's rubbish because who wants to point a thing at the wall that small?
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds like a dumb idea.
I thought the music video application was good, though. They said there was a rumor that it was going to be in the video
that's
iPod.
right. Yeah.
So then you got your YouTube video.
I'm going to prop my iPod up on a box of
Bono
matches.
right there, big time.
Yeah, whatever.
I like music videos.
I think it's actually...
Wait a minute, let's get back.
I like music videos. I'd like to watch mine big. I don't want to watch a little postage stamp screen. I'd rather have lower quality.
And so you think this is big?
I'd rather have lower quality and big than high quality and postage stamp size.
So you, Sebastian Rupley the Fourth, as I believe your real name is, watch music videos. You watch VHS?
I play electric guitar too.
Okay, well,
there are a lot of.
That's
I'm a multifaceted person.
I think these kinds of applications are inevitable. The last year at CES,
you think a little projector like this is inevitable?
Mitsubishi's already shipping a little tiny one that's maybe the size, a little bigger than a pack of cigarettes. That is a DLP projector. It uses LEDs instead of a hot lamp, and it projects the screen, 30 inches wide. So it's not very long.
What, you have to be in total pitch black darkness to see this thing? Because LEDs, I mean, how much juice can they put into a package that big? I mean,
but if you're in some of the LEDs now are really bright. Really bright.
But where would you use it? I mean, I'm thinking about where I would use an iPod video. It's like on a plane, on a bus, and it's like, okay, so
what if you just project it on your own forehead and start walking around?
So when kids have they've got their rave they set up on MySpace, and now they're all sitting around in little bunches watching videos on the wall.
But remember that it gives you a hands-free option. So if you're going to watch, Desperate Housewives or something, you could actually have a watchable size screen, and you don't have to sit there and hold it. When I went to Apple to see Desperate Housewives on the iPod video when they first announced it, I was sitting there going like this. Will people actually walk down the street going like
thought it was idiotic to have the little iPod video in the first place with a screen that small. I think to this day, and of course I'm sure the numbers will prove me wrong on this one, but I just don't see it. I can't see this being a market that's anything more than a faddish gimmick.
It actually is growing, though. They're selling more and more music videos.
More and more. I think it's going to be one of those quick ramps and
they're watching
dead.
Music video, but I don't know. I don't think that and then the little projector thing it's a gimmick. It's like it'll turn up in a phone, and it's going to be little mobs of people seeing crappy quality screens projected on the wall at best.
Well, this reminds me. Where's my phone? Now, see this phone, which I know people are worried I was going to bring this out. You can shoot on this. This is like the only known Neo-Node phone in the country, as far as I know. And it's all gestures, by the way. Everything is done with your thumb. Anyway, this has a screen about so big, and you can watch videos on it. And this is a little bigger than the iPod video, I believe.
Yeah, a little bigger.
A little bigger. And it stinks. And this is too small for it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, you can watch it, but I'm not going to watch much.
I ride the train in every day at work, and I don't.
And you use iPod video?
I don't ever see anybody watching the iPod video. But I look at the numbers. The music video numbers are growing, so there must be kids out there.
Well, I was talking.
I've never seen anyone looking at one of those.
I was talking to Mark Tuffy, one of the technical geniuses at THX, and he carries one around. And he says that the human eye, especially if you're young, has the amazing ability to adjust so that when you're looking at an iPod, you actually your mind is seeing better video quality than the screen is actually putting out. You know, your eye is very flexible that way.
Yeah.
So you
don't think that's a result of drug use or anything like that? They're imagining, whoa, this is looking good. Do they do this a lot? Because it would seem to me to get a little more 3D animation.
Yeah, well, speaking of sensory shutdown, what would happen if all the people out there started to walk down the street with their iPods in their ears and also watching video? You know, then we'd have
it's actually
potential for some disastrous accidents.
Well, actually, I've seen people walking reading books, so this is not a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap that segment up and come back and talk about the space elevator. Well, we're not going to talk about the space elevator. Okay, we're going to wrap this section up and go to a commercial, and we're done.